सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति। The lesson, born in captivity. In this lesson, born in captivity, certain analysis is done as to how to see things clearly, how to understand what you are experiencing rightly, clearly is the purpose of this analysis. So you are seeing something, you are experiencing something, but then you don't understand it rightly. What you are experiencing, you don't understand it rightly. If what you are experiencing, you understand it rightly, you don't need knowledge. You know it by yourself. You experience it, but the very fact that you are experiencing it makes you believe you know it. So what is Vedanta saying? What you are experiencing, you got to understand it rightly. What I experience, why do I have to understand it rightly? I need to understand others rightly, but what I experience, I know it. No. What is there for me to understand it rightly? What is there for me to analyze? What is the analysis in this? This is the lesson, born in captivity. And we have seen how this born in captivity is a common theme in all the scriptures. In the Mundaka Upanishad, he calls it Pariksha Lokan Karmachitan Brahmano. And then we saw how in Yoga Vasishta, Rama does it. In the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he talks about this again. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Dosha Anu Darshanam, he says. In chapter 13, verse number 9, when he's talking about the 20 qualities of a Gyani, a wise person. Who is a wise person? A wise person is one who has this knowledge. What is the knowledge? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. All these he understands. What does he understand? He understands how it is dukkha in it. Dukkha, it has dukkha and it has a defect. Dukkha and dosha. What is the sorrow in it? What is the defect in it? This is born in captivity. The ability to analyze and understand the dukkha and the dosha. Dukkha means pain. Dosha means defect. So, what is this born in captivity? Analysis of the dukkha and dosha in your experiences. What is the dukkha in your experiences? What is the dosha that is there in your experiences? In all your experiences, what is the dukkha and what is the dosha? The Sanskrit word dukkha means the pain. Dosha means defect. Why do we call it as dosha? Is because the moment if something is defective, will you want something that is defective? Nobody will want to know. Isn't it? You have a brand new phone, sir, but it won't work. That's all. Only defect it has is it won't work. Otherwise it is. You can only use it as a paperweight, isn't it? It's a brick. It's a paperweight. You will not want something moment you understand the defect. Or you are longing for something, you are craving for something because you are not able to see the dosha in it. You are not able to see the defect in it. The moment you see the defect in it, you wouldn't want it. That is why the moment you get close to somebody, you start seeing the defects and you want to get rid of that person. No? As long as you don't get closer to that person looks like an angel, isn't it? The moment you get closer, what happens? You start seeing the defect. The moment you see a defect, what do you do? What do you do after seeing the defect? You will drop it. It's natural. Are you able to follow? It's natural to drop it when you see a defect. It is natural to drop it. Invariably, what happens in life? If you are holding on to something, means you have not yet seen the defect in it. The moment you see the defect, you will let go. Now, what is born in captivity trying to do? Born in captivity is trying to analyze and tell us how you are not able to see the defect. Looking at the defect is not the pessimistic way of looking at it. Looking at the defect is a realistic understanding of what it is. Again, dosha, defect doesn't mean a pessimistic way of looking at it. Defect means having the proper understanding. Nowadays, what they call as, you should weigh the pros and cons, isn't it? You should weigh the pros and cons. Not pros, and then another word, what is it? Due diligence, isn't it? Big words they use. You should do due diligence. You should weigh the pros and cons. And when it comes to life, neither do you do due diligence, nor will you do the pros and cons. So in born in captivity, he is doing it for us. He's only analyzing the pros and cons. He's only doing the due diligence and telling us and placing a mirror in the front. And then looking at the mirror, you can choose whether you want it or not. So what is born in captivity? Dukkha, dosha, anudarshanam. Darshanam means seeing it clearly, precisely. Anudarshanam means seeing it more precisely, more perfectly. What do you have to see? Two things you have to see. What are the two things that you should learn to see? The dukkha and the dosha. But sir, dukkha and all comes later. Immediately there is a joy. No. What is your problem? Dukkha comes later. What is your problem? Immediately there is joy. Sukham is there immediately. And we want that immediate sukham. You unnecessarily see things, these masters unnecessarily see things which is not there, and you come and confuse. That's also. What is it? Dukkha you don't see, the dosha you don't see. Born in captivity is a very important elementary step in understanding Vedanta. What is the fundamental elementary step? Learn to see the dukkha and learn to see the dosha, which is inherent in everything. Are you able to follow? Now comes the crux of the lesson. What is it? Dukkha and dosha is the reality. Sukham or happiness is your imagination on it. It is implied. Purida. Dukkha and dosha is the reality. That is what it has. Sukham or happiness is what? Is what you are imagining. Therefore, the object says, the being says, you are responsible for your imagination. I am not responsible for your imagination. If you imagine that you can get happiness out of me, it is your problem. To understand this, born in captivity lesson is over. Again I repeat, everything has dukkha and dosha. But it doesn't look like that, no, sir. I'm repeating it again. It doesn't look like dukkha and dosha. No, it looks like sukham. It looks like sukham. It looks like joy. It looks like all that. No. What it inherently has is only dukkha, and dosha is the inherent nature of it. Where is Sukham coming from? The Sukha that you are experiencing is born out of your imagination. It means, in effect, there is no Sukham in it. Where there is no Sukham, you imagine a Sukham and you go and tie yourself to that. This is called samsara. Again, Aparna. Where there is no Sukham, you imagine a Sukham. And then what do? You go on bind yourself to that. That mental bondage that you develop because of your imaginary Sukham. This is called samsara. Are you able to follow? How do you understand it rightly? How do you understand it? An object that is existing, the being that is existing becomes an object of love when the existing doesn't become unloved. When does the existing object or the existing being turns into an object of love for you? When? Not the presence of that object, not the mere presence of the object or not the mere presence of the being makes you to love it. Correct? Are you able to follow? Then what makes you to love it? You develop a certain sense of security from that. You develop a certain sense of joy from that. You develop a certain sense of happiness from that. So, object and being exist. That is not debated at all. They exist. What doesn't exist in them? Security doesn't exist in them. Joy doesn't exist in them. Happiness doesn't exist in them. Therefore, the love for an object is not for the sake of the object, but for the sake of your own sense of security. Your own sense of security you love. Your own sense of security, happiness, joy you love. Therefore, what happens? Whatever gives you a hope of security, whatever gives you a hope of joy, whatever gives you a hope of happiness, what do? You go and tie yourself to that. Dukkha, dosha, anudarshanam. That's what born in captivity is doing. Now, what are you supposed to do now? Born in captivity, what is he doing? Thank God we don't think and understand all these things very deeply. We are all happy with Vedanta. If somebody is very happy with Vedanta, means they are not thinking deeply. The moment they start thinking deeply, you'll get very upset with it. You'll get very irritated with it. Why? Because it shows a mirror, and that mirror you don't want to. What is in the mirror you don't want to see? Isn't it? A mirror is shown in front of you, and you want to imagine a reflection. In front of the mirror, what you should do? You should not imagine a reflection. In front of the mirror, you should see what it is. Correct? If you see what it is, you are having the right knowledge. So what is this born in captivity saying? The lesson. the dependence upon another person, another situation, another being for your own sense of well-being, that dependence is called samsara, and that's what binds you. That's what makes you a captive. Captive means you are bound, chained. What is the technical name for captive? Chained, samsara. So born in captivity means, rephrase it. How you should rephrase it now? Born in captivity means Vijay. Born in samsara. Born in bondage. Born in samsara. If born in bondage, born in samsara means down the line, everything is bondage only. Everything is bondage only. How to make you understand that? Each and every facet is taken and it is analyzed. Each and every facet of life is taken and analyzed so that you understand the bondage. This is called this is known as born in captivity. Born in captivity means born in bondage. Born in bondage means born in samsara. You are born in samsara, but as a human being, you can die as a Jivan Mukta. Understand that. You are born in samsara, but you need not die in samsara. Vedanta is saying you born in samsara is understood. Don't bother about that. But you have a choice not to die in samsara. But this bondage is very nice, no, sir? This bondage is so nice. This bondage is so pleasant. This bondage is so beautiful. This bondage is so wonderful. And you can write poetry on it. And you can write theses on it. And you can write poetry on it. You can make movies on it. You can write stories on it. Isn't it? Yesterday, I was talking to a person. So something about the marriage came. Something about marriage. So I asked, a very simple question. Why do you want to get married? Why do you want to get married? This you can ask for anything. Huh? This question you should ask for everything. That is born in captivity. Are you able to follow? So I asked that person, why do you want to get married? You'll be happy, no, sir. Why do you want to get married? To lead a happy married? Why do you want to get married? To lead a happy married life. You want happiness. That's why you get married for what? For happiness. I said, okay. From where did you get the notion that marriage is for happiness? Who taught you that marriage is for happiness? Here we have studied Grihastha Ashrama. We have not studied Grihastha Sukha. Correct, no? Narayanji. We have studied only Brahmacharya Ashrama, Grihastha Ashrama, Vanaprastha Ashrama, Sannyasa Ashrama, Srama only we are studying it as only Srama. And from where did you get the notion that marriage is for happiness? Happily married ever after. Born in captivity breaks that wrong understanding. Born in captivity gets you out of that imaginary, fancy notion of you. It's an imaginary notion. It's a fancy. What is a fancy? What is imagination? What is a fancy? I am in sorrow. By getting that, I'll be in sukha. That is bondage. Again, I repeat. What is bondage? I am in pain now. I am in sorrow now. Correct. Of course, I am in pain. That doesn't need any description. I am in pain. Not me, please. Don't send me WhatsApp message after the class. Yeah, I'm just saying I'm saying, instead of saying you, I'm saying I, that's all. Yeah. You know, you get very irritated. So I'm saying I, that's all. You are in pain. Correct. If I get something, I'll be happy. This is captivity. So at every stage, the person believes that happiness is going to come out of it. Where in reality, what is there? In reality, what is in it? In reality, it is dukkha and dosha. So dukkha and dosha is the reality. What you are experiencing is, what you are imagining is sukham. Are you able to follow? What you are imagining is sukham. What you are experiencing is dukkha dosha. Why I am saying all this is, how this is a very fundamental lesson that has spread across all the scriptures that we study. The Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, dukkha, janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, dukkha, doshanudarshanam. In Mundakopanishad, pariksha lokan karmachitan brahmano. We have studied that also. In Yoga Vasishta, Rama did this inquiry. The most unfortunate thing in bondage is what you love becomes a source of unhappiness. This is bondage. What is bondage? What you love becomes the source of unhappiness. What you are craving for, what you are wanting is that which is the source of. So the unhappiness doesn't come from the world. The unhappiness doesn't come from the existence of object or a being. Unhappiness comes from what? Unhappiness comes from you connecting it to your happiness. What is the most unfortunate thing? That how much ever you hear, it is difficult to understand. How many times we keep hearing this, we still cannot accept it. We still do not understand this. Why? Because deep down, I still believe what? There is always something better that can give me that. All that I got to do is what? Make it. All that I have to do it was make it better. If the object gives me dukkham, what should I do? Make the object better. Correct? If the person is giving me dukkham, what do you want to do? Make the person better. Isn't it? All our effort is what? Dukkham is there, and you make it better, you will get sukham. Are you able to follow? Vedanta says they are not the source of happiness at all. Why? It has only two. It has dukkha and it has dosha. Why do we say it has dukkha and dosha, sir? Because the nature of it is to constantly change. Anything that constantly changes will give you dukkha. Are you able to follow? On what basis we say it is a source of dukkha, sir? It's changing. Anything that constantly change gives you dukkha. That is why the promise we take, isn't it? What is the promise we take? Promise. What is the promise? You should not change, and I will also not change, isn't it? You should not change, and I will also not change. And this is the most absurd statement that the human being can make. Why? Because by that time you conclude that statement, I will not change, Buddha says you have already changed. So what is the promise that you are making? That you will not change? That's a promise they take, no? Isn't it? And when the promises are broken, your heart is, the promises are broken. And when the promises are broken, your heart is broken. And when your heart is broken, what do? Obviously, you have to fix the heart that is broken, isn't it? How do you fix the heart that is broken? Move on to the next. Move on to the next. From one addiction, move on to the next addiction. From person A, you move on to person B. And then a few years later, you will give exactly the same complaint about that person B also. And then you will go to person C. You will do the same thing. By that time, you move to 3, 4, you will, old age will come, dementia will come, all that will come. You will die. And how you will die? Born in bondage. And how you will die? You will die in bondage. Only to continue this into the next also. இதோட pessimistic life பத்தி பேசவே முடியாது, isn't it? You can't, nobody can paint a pessimistic picture in the way that whether this lesson is picturing it or not, you are saying all this which is not in the, whether it is there in this book or not, we don't know. You are saying what all you want to say, and then you say, this is what is said in this chapter, this is what is said in this chapter. Where is it said in? Where is it said? All this unnecessarily you are saying that. The hope of happiness connects you. The pain disconnects. The hope of happiness connects you. The moment the reality strikes. What is the reality? The pain. And remember, the other doesn't intend to give you pain. The nature of object and beings gives you pain. What is the very nature of object and beings that gives you pain? Nobody intends to give you pain. Remember that. Nobody is planning, scheming against you to give you pain. Or in the totality, you don't. The totality, you don't exist at all. So nobody has to plan, scheme. For your ego, you may think you are the center of the planet. Isn't it? Your ego makes you to believe you are the center of the planet, and somebody is always ganged up against you. Somebody is always irritated with you. Somebody is always pleasing to. All that is because of your wrong notion. You understand that? Nobody tries to pleases you. Nobody is ganging up against you also. But you believe like that. You feel like that. Why? The ego of the fly makes the fly believe that it can be a. Remember that story. The ego of the fly makes the fly to believe that it can be a burden to the elephant, isn't it? Remember that story? The fly spoke to the elephant in the evening. In the evening, it spoke to the elephant, saying, if you are tired, you tell me, I will fly away. Carrying me, if you are tired, you tell me, I will fly away. The elephant replied, now that you spoke, I recognized you are sitting on me. If you haven't spoken, I wouldn't even know that you are sitting on me. But the ego of the fly can make the fly to believe that it can be a burden to the elephant. Are you able to follow? So because of you don't, as far as the totality is concerned, the totality is not ganging up against you to harm you, to hurt you, to give you pain. Nobody does it. Nobody does it. You do it. That is the nature. What is the nature? Dukkha and dosha is the nature. Where there is dukkha and dosha, what will happen? This is what will happen. The nature of the fire is to. The nature of the fire is what? It can give you warmth if you maintain the right distance. If you get close, it will burn you up. Correct? Ram Subramaniam. What is the nature of fire? Depending upon your distance. Are you able to follow? Prasad. See, what is the nature of fire? Don't say burning. If you get too close, it will burn you. If you maintain the right distance, it will give you the warmth. Correct? Fire is that which can give you warmth. Fire is that which can burn you up. It means, what is the nature of the fire? The fire says warmth or you get burnt is dependent upon who? Is dependent upon whom? Fire or you? You. Are you able to follow? This is understanding born in captivity lesson. If you understand this, you'll understand the born in captivity lesson. Are you able to follow? By itself, it cannot, in winter, the same fire at the right distance can give you warmth. The same fire, when you go and embrace it, oh, it is giving me so much of warmth. So what will I do? I'll go and embrace it. What it will do? This is what you do. It gives you a warmth, you go and embrace it, get burnt, come back complaining. Fire says, don't blame me, blame yourself. Why? Because my nature is what? You embrace me, I will burn you up. Huh? Are you okay with this example? Now replace fire with. Now replace fire. Fire eduthrunga ipo. What you should add? What you should replace it with? The world of objects and beings. So replace fire with the world of objects and beings. As long as you maintain a distance, there is warmth. About a warmth then kitta poi katti pucha, what will happen? This is what people do. Just because the nature is to give you warmth if you maintain the right distance. You cross the distance and go and embrace it, you will be burnt. You will be burnt. Knowledge and understanding teaches you how to maintain the distance. And what knowledge does first? It removes the exaggerated notions that you have. Are you able to follow? Knowledge has to remove that exaggerated notions. Once that exaggerated notions are removed, you get the right understanding. What is the right understanding? It is dukkha and dosha. You don't call it as, in fact, at the next level, we will not even call it as dosha. We will say that's what it is made up of. That's what it is made up of. You don't at the third level, we don't even call it as dukkha and dosha. We call it as that's the nature. That's the nature. The biggest problem in life is this. Do you have to adjust to the fire or the fire has to adjust to you? Question. Do you have to adjust to the fire or the fire has to adjust for you? Using our intelligence, we will make the fire adjust. Vedanta comes and says, how much ever you use your intelligence and makes the fire adjust, the reality is it will burn you up. Therefore, You need not, fire is not going to adjust to you. You got to adjust to the fire. Take it or leave it. Are you able to follow? How to adjust everything? How to make? நம்மளே அட்ஜஸ்ட் பண்ணினே இருக்கணுமா? They should also adjust, no sir. Why will fire adjust? Fire says, this is my nature. You get closer and embrace, it's a problem. You follow? This is what elsewhere he calls it as the right assessment. This is what is known as the right assessment. Born in captivity is a simple lesson of giving you the right assessment of what life is. It gives you a very simple assessment. That's all. It doesn't do anything more than that. It's a very simple assessment. What is the assessment? Each and every facet of life is taken and analyzed. When it is analyzed, it may be very unpleasant because, as they say, truth is, lies gives you solace. If you want solace, what will please you if you want solace? Lies will give you solace. But we only want solace, no. We don't want the facts. We only want solace. Truth cannot give you solace in the beginning. Truth will be hurtful in the beginning. If you want solace, what can give you solace? Lies. That will give you solace. That's why poetry is full of, imagination is full of lies, poetry is full of lies, and lies gives you such a satisfaction, a solace. Gives you a solace. The truth is what? The reality. You got to mature yourself to the reality. Once you mature yourself to the reality, then it's no more painful. Once you mature to the reality, then that reality is no more painful. So what is it? To summarize, objects and beings exist. No doubt about it. They exist. How do they exist? With their own guna, karma, nama, rupa, etc. They exist with its own nama, rupa, guna, karma, meaning with its own qualities, natures, it exists. The existence is not going to give you sukham. What gives you sukham is your hope. What is the hope? That there is a sense of security in that. There is a sense of security in that. There is a sense of joy in it. There is a sense of happiness in it. And this gives you a hope of happiness. And with that hope of happiness, what do? With that hope of happiness, you go and embrace. And when you embrace, what happens? Sukham doesn't come, you get. When you embrace, sukham is not coming, you get burnt. And when you get burnt, you come back. You come back complaining about that object or that being and move on to the next object, next being. This is moving from one bondage to another bondage. There is living in samsara, that is living in captivity. What is Vedanta? When you are born in captivity, but you don't have to live life in captivity. You don't have to die in captivity. Remember that. You are born in captivity. You don't have to live in captivity. You don't have to die in captivity. In order to understand how you need not live in captivity, how you need not die in captivity, some investigation has to be done. Able to follow? What is that investigation now? We continue reading the text. Herd instinct. Warren Sharma, 1 second. Yes.
Can you help me understand what is the fancy in marriage and what is the dukkha in marriage?
Oh,
I am not able to understand. Otherwise, why will everybody get married?
yeah. See, she's asking 25 years, she's married now. Now she's married for 25 years. After living in marriage for 25 years, the question that she's asking is, we get married only to be happy, no? What is the dukkha in it? Correct?
And what is the fancy in the marriage?
What is the fancy? What is the fancy of marriage and what is the dukkha of marriage?
Otherwise, we should have straight away gone to sannyas. You don't have to get married and suffer. Then you realize you have to go for vanaprastha and sannyasa. Straight away, you could have gone there.
Correct. Question is asking is, why can't a person straight away go to? Why can't a person straight away live a detached life? Why can't a person straight away live a detached life? You can't live a detached life straight away. Why? The next topic, vasanas, is going to talk about that. Why you can't live a detached life straight away? Because you have a baggage of vasanas that you are born with. That's a separate discussion. Are you able to follow? That's a separate discussion. What is the fancy of marriage? Marriage is used as an example. For what? When you say, I want it. When you say, I need it, I want it. Do you want it or do you want something else? That is the investigation. Are you able to follow? When you say, I want it, do you want it or you want something through that? Are you able to follow? So marriage, we take marriage as an example because all of us are happy in marriages, no? That's why we take that as an example to analyze, because everybody can connect with that example of marriage straight away, because all of us are having a very happy married life. That's why we can understand that straight away, isn't it? A bachelor cannot understand. Why? Because the bachelor is still having dreams about it, hopes about it, isn't it? What is marriage? Shastra calls it as ashrama. That's why I gave that example. Shastra calls it as ashrama. Your fancy calls it as happiness. Why it is called ashrama? Shrama means difficulty. Ashrama means more difficulty, only difficulty. That's why, I keep telling people, when you are inviting people, when are you coming to the ashram? Do you know what you are asking? Because they think you are inviting them for a resort. No. When are you coming to the ashram? Oh, I'm waiting to come, sir. Why? Because they think it's a resort where you can come and have a good time. Now, what does ashram means? When are you going to come to this place which is full of difficulties? Shrama. Will you ever want to come to that place? Aparna, have you ever come to the ashram? I know you haven't come. Why are you not coming? No? Yeah, you should come. Ram Subramaniam, you are also not. You should come. Ashram, you should come. Invitations are given for free invitations. Why? Why only we should suffer? Let the whole lot come and suffer. No. Why it is called ashrama? Why it is called ashrama? That is the reality behind it. That is the reality of it is that happiness is your imagination of it. The reality is ashrama. The fancy is happiness. Are you able to follow? Therefore, I use that as an example. Wealth. A person wants wealth because a person sees security in wealth. Isn't it? A person sees security in wealth. What is the dosha in it? What is the dosha in it? We have seen all that. No, Rama already saw that. Rama already told us what is the defect in wealth, what is the defect of childhood, what is the dosha of everything. He has said it, correct? So similarly, what is the defect of marriage? If it is seen as an institution to protect dharma, it is different. If it is seen as an institution for indulgence and happiness, it is dosha. Marriage is seen as an institution for indulgence. Marriage is seen as an institution for indulgence. Marriage is seen as an institution of a permanent slave, isn't it? Other slaves and all will come and go. The moment you get married, Agni Sakshya, we take a pratignya. What? We will be slaves to each other forever. Huh? Marriage is a beautiful institution if it is done for the protection of dharma. And dharma, protection of dharma comes with effort, shrama. It is not natural. Are you able to follow? Therefore, everything in life is ashrama. Means not difficult. Means when you see it as a source of indulgence and happiness, you are not seeing the dosha. Then what is the right way of making use of it? That is Vedanta. You cannot run away from it, you cannot escape it, but you can make right use of it. Are you able to follow? You cannot escape from fire, but you can make right use of fire. How to make right use of fire? You maintain a, what do? You maintain a distance. You use the fire to cook the food. You don't use the fire to get cooked, isn't it? That is making right use of fire. You don't go and get yourself cooked in it. You use the fire to, are able to follow? It means you know how to make the right. You know what is proper use of it. What is proper use of it? You know it. You follow what I'm saying? This. When I gave this example of marriage, I said marriage is used as an example. This question should be asked for everything in life. This question should be asked. Are you okay? We will continue with the investigation. What is investigation? Herd instinct. We'll study herd instinct.
The herd instinct. One finds oneself entrenched in the embodiment and environment one is born into. And it is aggravated further by living a routine, mechanical life in the general pattern set by predecessors and peers. Thus, people around the world live through life following a herd instinct, merely doing what others have done in the past or are doing in the present. Just examine your past life. You have gone through primary and high schools. Why? After completing your scholastic education, you graduated from a university. Why? The answer to these questions is quite obvious. You did what your parents and siblings, your friends and colleagues did and are doing. The herd instinct does not end there. It carries you further into business, profession, marriage, children, and the works. You are caught up in a way of life not knowing what you are doing and where it is all heading to. Few realize the consequences of these mechanical, thoughtless pursuits. Their realization, if any, is too late to retrieve themselves. And the result of following a herd instinct is invariably disastrous, even fatal. A ghastly incident in Turkey was reported in a newspaper in 2005. The report should wake up human beings to realize the consequence of following a herd instinct. On that fatal morning, one sheep leapt from a cliff to its death. Following its trail, 1,500 sheep took the suicidal leap. Stunned shepherds looked on helplessly at that bizarre scene of mass suicide. Likewise, humans mechanically follow the trail left behind by their parents, peers, and predecessors. Their thoughts, feelings, and actions are influenced by the place, people, and practice in the situation and environment they live in. So, are you victimized by the little world around you? Your mind blindly follows the herd. You need a powerful intellect to circumvent the mind's trail, to rise above the environmental and circumstantial pressures and establish your own identity. You could reach that state of authority only by fortifying your intellect.
Another bondage is herd instinct. What is herd instinct? Herd instinct is doing that which the person in front of you did it. Doing that which the person before you does. It's called herd instinct. This is the example that he is giving of the sheep, 1,500 sheep of the cliff. The first sheep slipped and fell, and the whole lot jumped. It's a bondage. What is the bondage here? Not realizing what the person in front did may not be the right thing. Are you able to follow? Just this doubt, what the person did before you may not be the right thing. This doubt is freedom from herd instinct bondage. But what happens is, it's so easy to set, it is so easy to follow the path set by somebody before you. It's so easy to follow that, isn't it? It's very easy to follow that path. What does that herd instinct means? A pattern that is set which necessarily may not be beneficial to you. A path set may not be beneficial to you. Herd instinct says there is the path and just follow that. There is the path and just follow it. You need not do anything other than simply following the path. What is the example that he is giving? The herd instinct is to, you go to school, for what? You go to university, for what? You take up a job, for what? You get married, for what? You get children, for what? Why? Why do you do all this? Why do you do all this? How many times we have heard this analysis, isn't it? Sir, at 5 years, what else a person will do, sir? Go to school. At 25, what else a person should do? Take up a job. At 30, what else a person should do? Get married. At 32, what else a person should do after marriage? You thought you are getting married to be happy, and then everybody around you keeps asking, what? After marriage, what will they ask? No good news? No good news. And that good news is a bad news for you, isn't it? No good news? No good news. What is meant by no good news? Children, isn't it? Obviously, sir, after getting married, what would you do? Have children. And then having gotten children, what would you do? Bring them up nicely. Bring them up best. Bring them up nicely in a way that they are completely destroyed. So that in a way that they are completely destroyed. And what will they do? And what will they do? They'll continue the parampara, isn't it? Just the lineage continues of herd instinct. Another distinct captivity is this herd instinct. Remember, always understand this. He is not saying don't do any one of these things. He is saying investigate and do, that's all. For what matters here is the investigation is what that matters here. He is not saying don't do it, neither is saying it's wrong to do it. Carefully follow the difference. He is only saying investigate and do. Correct. And when you investigate, go deep into that investigation. Don't do shallow investigation. First thing is investigate. Second thing is when you investigate, don't do shallow, superficial investigation. Go deep. And they told you what the depth is. What the depth is? Dukkha and dosha is the depth. So what is analyzing it? Not superficially, but to the depth means it is dukkha, it is dosha, and it has no capability of giving you what you want. Again, I repeat. It has no capability of giving you what you want. Just because you want it, the capability must be there in the other, no? The other is not capable. But lack of investigation makes you to believe that capability is there. What is the capability? The capability to give you happiness. Capacity. It doesn't have that capacity. You crush the neem leaves, sugarcane juice will not come, no. You crush the neem leaves, what neem leaves can give? What neem leaves can give? Neem leaves can only give what it has. Neem leaves cannot give what you want. Neem leaves can give what it has. What it has? Neem juice. For your tongue, it may be bitter. So are you able to follow? The bitterness is because of your tongue. The bitterness is not because of the neem juice. Vis-a-vis sugarcane juice, isn't it? You crush sugarcane, you have diabetes, and you drink sugarcane juice, what will happen? Sugarcane juice can give sugarcane juice. Neem leaves can give neem juice. They don't intend to give you sukham, They don't intend to give you dukkam. Sugarcane juice is not sacrificial to give you sukham. Neem juice is not conspiring against you to give you dukkam. Are you able to understand? Sir, in the examples are very good, sir. But human beings, why? Because you have not done the analysis to the core and understood it, ignorance brings about unreasonable expectations. Ignorance brings about unreasonable expectations. So the suffering you go through is not because of the other. The suffering you go through is because of your unreasonable expectations. Somehow the neem tree should give you sugarcane juice. Na? Who's at fault? You or the neem tree? Connected to Ramatirtha. All grumbling tantamounts to oh, why is the lily not an oh? Millions of examples you can give on that one concept. That is one concept. All grumbling tantamounts to why is a lily not an oak? Lily is a lily, oak is an oak. A is A, B is B. A must be B and B must be A, and A should not be like B and B should not be like A, and A and B are so confused, not knowing what to do. Why? Because they are so helpless. They act according to their nature. Are you able to follow? Now, when this investigation is done, very shallow level investigation, very superficial level investigation, herd instinct will be the result. Because you ask everybody has a reason. Why do you go to school? I want a good, why are you choosing this university? Placements are very good, sir. They have a reason, no? That reasoning is a very shallow reasoning. In Vedanta, we don't stop at that level itself. We go deeper and deeper and deeper till we hit the point. What is the point you have to hit? Dukkha and dosha. Till you hit the point of dukkha and dosha, you have not investigated to the core. You have done a very superficial investigation. Are you able to follow? Everybody has a reason to do whatever they are doing. The question is, what is the real reasoning? Even a mad person also has a reason, no? Even a mad person also has a reason to do what he or she is doing. A terrorist also has a sacrificial person to sacrifice has a reason. The terrorist also has a reason. Question in Born in Captivity is, where do you stop the reasoning? At what point you can say you have done full, thorough, complete reasoning, complete analysis? At what point you can say that you understand it as dukkha and dosha? Then you have done thorough analysis. Second, when you understand the object is not dear for the sake of the object, but for your sake. Object is not dear for the sake of the object, for your sake. The being is not dear for the sake of the being, but for your sake. It means it boils down to you. When it is boiling down to you, what is it called? It's called selfish. When it is boiling down to you, it's called selfish. Are you able to follow? So what is that herd instinct talking about? A pattern is set and you mechanically follow the pattern without investigating whether It's the path that suits you. Whether it is the path that suits you. You will have a clarity on the path only when you have a clarity on the goal. This is the point here in herd instinct. What is the point of herd instinct? The clarity on the path will come only when you have clarity on the goal. When you lack clarity on the goal, obviously you will lack clarity on the path. Most of the time, if not always, people lack clarity on the goal. What does lacking clarity on the goal means? Connected to another topic in the book Fall of Human Intellect. Nobody knows what they want. Nobody knows what they want. And everybody believes they know what they want. Everybody believes they know what they want, and yet the truth is nobody knows what they want. Herd instinct makes you to believe in that. What is the belief? You believe you know what you want and you pursue. So what all you do, right from schooling to profession to job to business to marriage to children to everything, there is a mechanical thing. Even when you come into religion also, you carry the same herd instinct attitude. So even when you come into religion also, what would you do? You would carry the same herd instinct attitude in religion also. What is a herd instinct attitude? A pattern which is set by the past, and you refuse to get out of that pattern. Nowadays, how to get out of this bondage now? That's what nowadays what people call as think out of the box. They say, no. It's a bondage. Everybody understands it as a bondage. And what is the solution they come up with? You should think out of the box. What is thinking out of the box means? What is the box that you are boxed into? The past is the box. How do you get out of it? How do you get out of it? By gaining the right knowledge, by using the intellect. And what is gaining knowledge means? What is gaining understanding means? You understand the human life will find a fulfillment only. The nature of the mind is to be comfortable with the known. The nature of the intellect is to plunge into the unknown. That's how you break this. What is called as exploration. Explore. And it is exploration that gives. And it is exploration that gives that joy, the happiness, the satisfaction, isn't it? You follow? And mind wouldn't like to explore. Why? Why mind wouldn't like it? Because exploration involves time, exploration involves money, exploration involves effort, not knowing what will come out of it. Are you able to follow? This is what is called herd instinct. What is herd instinct? What they call as comfort zone. Nowadays, new words they come up with, isn't it? Every week we have to go to language class and learn new words. That is the problem. What is comfort zone? What is the comfort zone? The herd instinct is the comfort zone. The herd instinct is the comfort zone, and intellect is that which helps you to get out of that comfort zone, break that comfort zone. How do you do it? Using the intellect. What is meant by using the intellect? The joy of life comes through exploration, isn't it? See, some of them enjoy what they call as extreme sports, isn't it? Extreme sports, isn't it? Tying a rope and jumping upside down, flying, isn't it? What is it that is so exciting in that? What is that is exciting in that? For 99%, so why go into all that, sir? I will also not go, please. I will not go. Why will I go? Why do they do that? That exploration. Yeah, that exploration. You want that rush, sir. Biology. Yeah, take a drug and sit at home. No, and you will get the same rush. Why do you want to go and jump from the mountain? Take a drug and sit at the house and get the rush. No, you won't. Are you able to follow? Rush. So superficial an answer, and we get satisfied with that. That is herd instinct. For everything there is an why do people do that? All these biological names I am not able. I find it difficult to pronounce. Adrenaline rush. How do you pronounce that? That's a point. Because she is the poetess here. She is one who writes poetry. So I have to ask her only. How do you pronounce it? How do you pronounce it? It's an instinct of a human being the instinct of a human being is to explore. Herd instinct is not making use of that, simply going by the past. Why people don't do that? Because exploration involves what? Exploration involves time. Exploration involves effort. Exploration involves money with no guarantee of result, success. அதுதான் சார் ஆல்ரெடி அவங்க பண்ணதை அப்படியே ஃபாலோ பண்ணிக்கினே போயிடலாம்ல. They have the past they have found out everything so beautifully and they have set it. Why not just to follow that and keep going? Another captivity is herd instinct. You would need a powerful intellect to circumvent the mind's trail. What is the mind's trail? The mind's trail is herd instinct. The parents, the peers, the predecessors, the people, the place, and the situation and the environment. So, you are constantly victimized by the environment, the mahat, and you are victimized by the herd instinct. Previous topic spoke about the mahat. The current topic spoke about the herd instinct. The next topic, the continuity of it, vasanas, which is a bit technical. We will take it vasanas next week. We are not going to discuss vasanas today. So what is born in captivity in the context of herd instinct? The comfort zone and not wanting to move out of that comfort zone makes you lethargic, tamasic. That is the bondage. Makes you lethargic, makes you complacent, makes you tamasic, and that is the captivity. Instead of using that exploratory nature and getting out of bondage, you continue to be following a pattern that is set, Why do you do that? Because it is comfortable to do. It is comfortable to do. Please understand, everybody will want the benefit of exploration, but nobody will want to explore. There are people I know, these banks and all that, they have every 3 years they will be transferred. And every transfer comes with a promotion, isn't it? If you don't get, so there are people who will write and give. What? I don't want transfers. When you say I don't want transfers, means you will not get promotions. Okay. You will be in the same branch 35 years. A 25-year-old fellow will come like a manager. And this fellow will get very irritated at the manager, isn't it? Correct? Why? Sir, they know, they think nothing they know, sir. Our exam pass பண்ணிட்டு they come and sit above us, thinking that they know everything. Experience தான் sir matters. Experience. I know by experience. What is breaking the herd instinct means? Breaking the pattern of experience. Are you able to follow now? It is good at one level and you got to break it at another level. But then captivity means what? You don't have the courage even to break it, but you will want the benefit. What is the benefit you want? Are you able to follow? You will want the benefits of it. This is called herd instinct. Another distinct born in captivity. So we have seen birth, we have seen growth, we have seen mahat, we have seen herd instinct. Next, very beautiful one that we are going to see is vasanas. Vasanas, which we will continue next. Any clarifications we have?
Yes, Mala has posted a few.
Mala Nagadra. Could you please explain how marriage is for protection of Dharma? Mala, who said that marriage and all is for Dharma? I don't know. I said that. Then it is correct. Then it is correct. Somebody else said it, it is. How marriage is for protection of Dharma? Certain desires has to be, all desires you will not be able to eliminate through knowledge and understanding. You got to have some experiences also. You got to go through some experiences too. So when you go through that experiencing, when you go through the experiences of fulfilling a desire, you go through you try and fulfill certain desires, guided by what? Guided by Dharma. Are you able to follow? So, married life or grihastha ashrama is certain desires are allowed to be, you are allowed to fulfill certain desires. And when you fulfill certain desires, obviously you need the cooperation of, obviously you need the other, you need the cooperation of the other, you need the help of the other. For desires cannot be fulfilled all by yourself. You need the other. The other, you can get married to a human being, or you can get married to a dog, isn't it? Or you can get married to a cat. Doesn't matter. Marriage is what you get married to, doesn't matter. But you have to get married to. Why? Because there are certain desires that needs to be, there are certain desires that needs to be experienced in order to understand dukkha and dosha. Are you able to follow? some desires, you have to experience it to understand the dukkha and dosha. How do you do that? Marriage is a beautiful institution to do that. So when you are getting into marriage, you understand that you are not getting into marriage for a happy married life. You are getting into marriage to understand what? To fulfill your desires and then understand dukkha and dosha through experience, because knowledge is not helping you. Are you able to understand, Mala? In that way, dharma is there. I'm not talking about grihasasrama dharma and all that. Here we are talking about dharma as in growth and development. Is it okay? Huh? You understand? See, even if you want to eat, somebody has to grow the rice, no. Somebody has to market it, no. Somebody has to bring it, no. So what does dharma means? You have a desire to fulfill, and and you need the help of others. Are you able to understand that? That's all. Once you understand that others are helping you, what would be your attitude towards them? What would be your attitude towards them? The moment you realize they are helping you, one of gratitude. Are you able to follow? That's where dharma comes in. That's how dharma comes in. But then you see them as a hindrance. When you see them as a hindrance, it is adharma. Are you able to follow? This is where we say, in a very loose way. Take that statement, don't take it so literally. Protection of dharma means in a very generic way I said it. Why? Sometime later we are going to discuss that also in detail. Are you okay, Mala? Yes.
In any ashrama, even if you are going through the experience just to fulfill the desire, but how will that fulfillment of desire let you know the dosha and dukkha? Because you are anyway fulfilling your desire today.
You are not entering into it to fulfill a desire. You are entering into it to experience it. Experience what? The dukkha and dosha. Always remember, there is no such thing called fulfillment of a desire. There is no such thing called fulfillment of a desire. Why? Because desire as such cannot be fulfilled. When is enough? There is something called transcending the desire. There is no such thing called fulfilling a desire. Transcending the desire means what? What is transcending it? Are you able to understand? What is transcending means? Transcending means my happiness is not going to come through this. My peace and happiness is not through this. That is transcending. So there is no such thing called fulfillment of a desire. You try to experience a few desires. Why you try to experience it? Because that experience coupled with Shravana and Manana, dukkha dosha can be understood easily. Little bit of experience and coupled with knowledge of Shravana and Manana helps you to understand the dukkha and dosha. Are you able to follow? Therefore, there is no such thing called fulfillment of a desire. There is only one thing called experiencing it. That is why you experience and then you examine your experience. You experience and then you do pariksha. Examine your own experiences. Are you able to follow? That's how it works. So there is no such thing called fulfillment of a desire. There is only one thing called experiencing. What do you experience? Sukham. What is there to investigate? You are experiencing Sukham, and just because you are experiencing Sukham doesn't mean it is Sukham. Then what is it? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Dosha, Anu, Darshanam. Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshanam. In everything in life. That's how we started. Are you able to follow? One more is there. You are saying that we should analyze all those done by others before doing it ourselves. but we should also not do anything other than our duty and not bothered about others. So is this analysis applied to our duty-bound areas only? Mala, in the context of herd instinct, understand this in the context of herd instinct. Don't take it out of context of herd instinct. In the context of herd instinct, whatsoever done by others, it's a bondage to do it mechanically without investigating, because it is done by others. Are you able to follow? So in the context of herd instinct, understand this. Within the context of herd instinct, what does it mean? Just because the predecessors have done it, you need not do it. What you should do? You should investigate. What is the investigation? What is it that you want? And is this the path that is going to give you what you want? Are you able to follow? What is the investigation? What is it that you want? Is this the path that is going to give you that? And when you analyze, who do you take guidance from? Herd instinct is to take guidance from the predecessors. Intellect is that which takes guidance from the Shastras. Are you able to follow? Herd instinct is that which takes guidance from the predecessors. Predecessors means who? The parents, the peers, all these people, uncle, aunt, friend, isn't it? Why did you buy it? My friend got it. If your friend got it, why should you get it? No. My friend got it, therefore I should also have it. Why? Because you are so influenced by this. What you should get influenced by, you will not get influenced. What you shouldn't get influenced by, you will easily get influenced. What you should not get influenced by, the environment, the peers, the predecessors, you should not get influenced by. What you should get influenced by, the Shastra, the Vedanta. Exactly the opposite. How much ever you hear this Vedanta, you will still get influenced by the peers, the predecessors. It's a bondage. It's a bondage, captivity. Are you able to follow? It's a bondage, it's a captivity. Mala, are you okay? She's saying something, I can't hear. Cholunga.
I mean, I asked this question only from the point of knowing which area should I apply. I mean, if it is an area that I ought to do, then I analyze. Otherwise, anyway, many people can do anything they want. Let them, let it be good, bad, herd instinct, not herd instinct. And if I need to follow, if I need to do my duty, in that sense, I should not follow the herd instinct.
In everything you need to investigate.
That I agree.
Investigation has to be done in relation to everything. Number one. Number two, who tells you this is your duty? From where did you learn that this is your duty? Who taught you this is the duty?
Shastras.
That's all. That's all. Correct. Therefore, are you able to follow? Therefore, since it is the Shastras that has taught you, that also need not be taken blindly. That also has to be questioned, investigated, and followed. Are you able to follow? That is why, even though the Shastra says this is your duty, the Shastra that is say this is your duty doesn't say simply do it. Tat vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So the Shastra that says do your duty And the same Shastra also says, investigate and do it. Herd instinct is what? No investigation at all. That's why I said, even in religion also, you can follow the same thing I said. Herd instinct can be a religious thing also. You follow what I'm saying? Therefore, herd instinct means what? A non-investigating, non-questioning way of doing things. This is your duty. Who tells you this is your duty? Shastra says it. And the same Shastra says, just because I am saying it, don't take it for granted. Question me. If you don't know how to question, Shastra itself is question and it will give the answer. You follow? Sometimes we will not know how to question. So they will question and they will answer. It means the pattern of mechanical following is broken. Herd instinct means pattern where you mechanically do something. Are you able to follow the difference, Mala? So, yeah. Yes. With this, we conclude for today. Next week, we continue with the product of one's nature, vasanas. Thank you.